Hello and welcome to today's webinar on Exact Synergy Enterprise, the next generation of Exact software. I'm Andy Smith, Business Application Consultant here at Algorithm. Before we get started with the software presentation, just a few quick notes on Algorithm. We're a business consulting company based in Columbus, Ohio. We work with several hundred customers as far west as Colorado, up through Wisconsin, down through the Carolinas, and as far east as Long Island. We have a number of software partners, including Exact Software, who develops the application that we'll be looking at today, and SAP, primarily with their Crystal Reports and Business One applications. Algorithm's goal is to understand the challenges and requirements of each individual company and organization that we work with, help them select the right technology, and then, as you can see in our tagline down at the bottom, make that technology work for them. My goal for today is to, as I mentioned, show you Exact Synergy Enterprise. It's a software application, talk about the value proposition that it makes, and then walk through a demonstration of what the software looks like and some of the recent enhancements to it. So toward that end, let me start out by asking a question, and that is, are you smooth? And what I mean by that is your organization a unified, well-oiled machine, or do you perhaps have hiccups in your processes where things are inefficient, people have trouble finding the information they need, things get lost, or things like that? The goal of Exact Synergy is, as you can read there, connected insight to enable your people to work together in support of your business goals. And that results in real transparency, better agility, flexibility, and true teamwork. What this slide talks about is the flow of information through the organization. And what we found as we work with our customer base is that information frequently will take the path of least resistance. And what I mean by that is when people lack the structure and the insight they need to perform their job within the organization, sometimes information flows in a way that doesn't necessarily make sense when you look at the big picture. For example, it might be easier just to shoot somebody an email to ask them to do something for you rather than to fill out a form or to go through some other process. But is there really, in the long term, a gain in using an email or a paper form or calling them on the phone versus some other method that might have more value to the organization? Because once an email gets in their inbox, you don't know the status of it. Perhaps they could get lost in their task lists and nobody else has visibility to it, and then it's hard to keep track of what's done, what's not done, things like that. So as these types of processes develop, people will find the easiest way to do things, and you can't really blame them for that. But sometimes the bigger picture gets lost when that happens. The idea of Synergy, the application, is, by the way, it's a web-based product, as you can read there, but to integrate, manage, control, and improve collaboration. So basically take that path of least resistance that excuse me, we saw on the previous slide and put a little bit of organization to it. It unites processes and connects information. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the diagram over on the left-hand side, you can see this represents our organization, or at least part of it, where we have our customers, we have our employees, we have our financial information, which may be located in the accounting or the ERP system. And then we have a lot of activity that goes on around that, as you can see at the bottom. We have projects, we have workflows, which are business processes, and we have documents, which could be Word documents, emails, basically any archive piece of information that is related to a process, to a customer, to an employee, etc. So we have all these kinds of things going on in our organization, and what Synergy does is provide a framework that allows us to put those into some structure so that things happen correctly, so that things get followed up on, so that information is easy to find, and so that we can focus the employees on serving the customer. The third bullet there says it's designed to improve business performance right out of the box. There are a number of tools that try to organize your processes and flows and information like this, but one of the nice things about Synergy is that it comes with some predefined templates and setups so that you don't have to, in effect, program your own solution. It's flexible enough that you can adjust it to match your individual requirements for your business or your industry, but it doesn't require you to start from scratch every time. And the result of all that is, for your employees, is clarity, structure, and ease of collaboration. Now, looking at the previous slide, there's a lot of things going on inside of that diagram. And the question I get a lot is, well, that seems like a lot for my users to take on. How can I simplify that, or how are they going to be able to access all of that information and do their job within such a complex application? And the answer to that is that we use what are called personalized workspaces. And you can see here what we've developed for, in this case, Katie, is her home page or her personalized workspace where she logs in every day and she sees the following information. She, as you can see there, her job title, she's a sales manager. So in talking to her, we determined for her workspace, over on the right-hand side, there's a sales opportunity funnel. Exact Synergy has opportunity management for your sales process built into it. And that is one of the built-in sales funnel reports so that Katie can easily see what the status of the various opportunities in her sales area are. Down at the bottom left, you can see there's a pie chart indicating sources of new business. And then there's the monitor section just below her picture where she can easily navigate to her documents within the system, her workflow tasks, her to-do list, her projects, her accounts, which are maybe her customers or her prospects, and then at the bottom there, her opportunities. So again, pretty clean screen, easy for Katie to navigate and right there on her dashboard, see what she needs to see every morning, but then to navigate to the various areas that she might need to do her job. To show you another example of a personalized workspace, here's one for Russ. And in this case, if you notice up at the very top, it's a little hard to see, but if you notice up at the top, it says Exact Synergy Enterprise, Russ Lusko, Microsoft Outlook. And if you look on the far left, you can see this is actually Outlook. There's Russ's inbox and his calendar and archive folders and things like that. So what we've done is we're leveraging an app that Russ already uses in his daily tasks to show his personalized workspace coming from Exact Synergy. So over on the left, he sees his inbox, but here in the main area, you can see he has his workflow, which is basically his to-do list. Over here on the right, he's got some simple gauges to give him just a brief overview of the status of sales appointments. Down here below that, he has his overdue opportunities alerts, and then down below that, he has opportunities by due date. So again, we've spoken with Russ, identified the things that he needs to do as looks like possibly a salesperson or a sales manager to be able to do his job quickly and easily when he logs in, and then put that onto his personalized workspace for him and integrated it with his Outlook. So two examples of ways that you can, again, take this complex tool with a lot of power and yet make it simple and easy for the users to take advantage of. Another way that Synergy Enterprise makes it easy for users is with mobile applications. You can see here, on the left, we have an Android device, and then in the middle and the right, we have an iPhone and an iPad. And there are native apps for both of those platforms as well as Windows mobile devices. And you can see, especially on the iPhone on the right, you can see this is a simplified interface where I can easily see my customer and some basic contact information about them. I can add notes, I can add appointments, and this all synchronizes automatically back to the central database so that the users that are working inside the organization or through a desktop application can see and share in that same information that I'm using out on the road or wherever I may be. And then you can see here in the iPad interface a little bit larger look and feel, obviously, so we can display some larger reports, graphs, information like that than you would be able to use on a phone interface. So flexible look and feel for the users, depending on if they're at their desk or if they're on the road, if they're using a phone or if they're using a tablet. Here you can see I am logged into Synergy Enterprise. A quick tour of the interface for Synergy Enterprise. You can see I'm running Microsoft Internet Explorer, but Synergy Enterprise is browser independent. So this is basically a secure web page that I'm logged into. It knows who I am. Today I'm Jonathan, and it's showing me, you can see here's my home page. I'll get more into that in a minute. But quickly, over here on the left, you can see it's very easy for me to navigate. I have my work, which shows me my task list, my workflow, with all of my tasks that I have to complete, my calendar, my planning calendar, and I can also look at who works for me and their information. I can look at the accounts, the customers, suppliers who are assigned to me. I can also look at workflow processes or documents that I've created in the system. I can also create new records in the system if I needed to put in a new prospect or a new document, new request. And I can search for things. I can search for people, accounts, items, projects. So for example, if I want to look for a particular customer, I can just come here. I can type part of a customer name. I can select it, and I can go to their record in the system relatively easily. But for now, I'll go back to my home page, and let's talk a little bit about the dashboard that we see here. This one is part of the new Exact Navigator badge that Exact has put on the Synergy Enterprise product. You can see here I've got a Navigator tab up at the top. I've got a menu over here as well. And what this is the really integration of SQL Server reporting services, which is from Microsoft, their reporting engine, which for those of you that use Crystal Reports, very similar to that, where I can create these custom reports that were used in this case to build this dashboard. Synergy Enterprise has always had that integration where I can integrate SQL Server reporting services or SSRS reports right into to the interface itself. However, what Exact has done now is add contextual menus capabilities to those reports. For example, I can come up here to this is the part of the report, but I have this menu bar where I can click, and then I can launch reports or activities from these menus, and I'll give you some examples of those as we go along. I just want to introduce that concept for a second, and then we'll come back to it as I walk you through some of these dashboards. So again, this is the CEO dashboard that I'm looking at, and we worked with our CEO user and determined what he or she would need for their personalized workspace. In this case, that user needed a cash flow projection that they want to be able to log in and look at every morning. So as I scroll over, you can see here is the cash flow projections, and there's a graph down here representing those as well. Over here on the right, I have my control account snapshots so that I can look at various GL accounts and the status of those. And then down here at the bottom, I have a sales management dashboard with my green light, yellow light, red light indicators according to its various metrics, key performance indicators for the sales process, as well as for some of the larger financial indicators throughout the organization. So very easy for my executive to come in here and look at what's going on with the things that they think are important. But beyond that, can click and launch a menu. In that case, I don't have anything on the menu, but very easy to configure those menus. So based on whatever that user feels that they might need to be able to do, if they're looking at a particular GL account or if they're looking at a particular record on a report, they can click on it, and depending on what kind of record that is, they can perform an activity. I'll show you a few more examples of that in a second. So the next thing I'll do is show you a few more of these dashboards that come with the system. Again, you can develop your own and customize these, but these come right out of the box. So getting back to that point about Synergy Enterprise providing you value as soon as you install and implement it. If I click on this next icon, this is my AR dashboard, and it has a lot of similar information to the CEO dashboard. But it goes into a little more detail. So you can see up here at the top, I have my accounts receivable projections and graph. But then down in here at the bottom, I have things like top 5 highest account balances with a list of those customers and their aging. And then over here on the right, my top 5 oldest invoices. So again, I can see any problem children that I have here as far as collections. Down here at the bottom, our user has asked for a graph indicating receivables balance by customer type. And notice again, as I mouse over these reports, anywhere that I get that little finger pointer, I can then click and launch a menu. So let's say I wanted to drill in and look at some more information about that customer. The system knows that that's a customer record, and I can click on that and get more information. Let me go over to another dashboard here related to manufacturing. This is called the POP Production Scheduler dashboard. You can see it has a similar look and feel, but has different information according to what this user needs. You can see here we have our top 10 shortages by item quantity. In this case, we have some shortages on our fork item. And then same thing by item cost. I've got a production order aging chart, and then production order count by status chart. So again, what this user needed for their particular dashboard. So each user, when they open Navigator or Exact Synergy Enterprise, right away, whatever information they need to drive their decision making for what they're going to do next can be listed right here. But beyond that, we can also provide, as I mentioned before, these contextual menus. So in this case, I've added some menus here, and I have a serial lock stock status report for this user. So I launch that, it pops up a new window. And as you can see here, it's going to display two columns. One is serial lot inventory and a held status, which I have none currently, which is good. And then serial lot inventory and an available status. You can see here are my list of serial items and items and serial numbers and their location. And again, just to reiterate that point about the contextual menus, if I click here on the serial number, it knows that that's a serial number, and it's going to let me launch various things. I can go to a serial lot master record, I can go to a serial lot history record, or I can go to a serial lot trace function. Similarly, if I come over here and click, it knows that this is an item, and I can go here to an item master record. Now, if I click here, this would apply to companies using the Macola ES back office system from Exact Software. This is special integration that they've built in for those types of configurations. You can see here, for those of you that might use Macola ES, this is the standard item master maintenance screen from Macola ES. It passed through that fork item, and now I'm on that screen and I can perform whatever tasks or lookups that I needed to do from that particular screen. Very easy, again, for the user. I don't have to go to another application. I don't have to go to my start menu, back to my desktop. Right here from this report, I just click and I can launch that from there. I can do other similar things, but especially for those of you maybe that aren't using Macola ES, you say, well, what else can I do from these menus? And there's a wide variety of things you can do. You can go out to outside websites. So let's say this was a tracking number for a shipment. I could click there and send it out to a website that reads tracking numbers and display the status of that shipment and delivery. Or let's say, again, I'm working in production or inventory management or engineering, and I want to be able to look at some documentation related to this particular item. So again, I clicked on the fork, I click on the item documents link, and this is showing me within Synergy Enterprise's document management system a certain set of the documents that are related to this particular fork item. So in this case, you can see I have two miscellaneous documents, and then I have a fork drawing document. But this could be any variety of documents. It could be engineering change documents, it could be complaint documents or quality control documents related to this. In this case, I decide I want to see a drawing. I come right here, I click, and now I'm looking at a large-scale drawing of that particular item. So just imagine within your own organization what pieces of information you have stored in various places related to things that might come up on a report like this, and how much easier and more efficient you could make it for your user to be able to go find those things. Okay, so I'll close out of there and come back to our POP dashboard report. The next thing I want to do is go back to my home page, so to our CEO dashboard, and if I scroll down a little bit, I want to show you another way that you can create actions from these particular menus. Now, if you think about that POP dashboard that I just showed you, I drilled in from a report to a sub-report, and lots of applications allow you to drill through reporting. But then from there, I was able to drill and look at underlying documentation. What if I actually wanted to perform an action from there? Let's say I'm my CEO and I see something on this report that I want changed. Again, going back to our path of least resistance slide from the earlier part of the presentation, I could go and send an email to whoever's responsible for that, or I could call them into my office or call them on the phone and say, hey, I need you to do this. However, in this case, let's say we want to stay within the business system, and I'm going to enter a help desk request. Maybe it's a larger organization and they're working in a different building, or there's a number of technicians that might do this, or what have you. But in this case, I just went to that launch help desk request and it launched this Synergy workflow screen. For those of you who have not used Synergy before, this is a standard Synergy workflow screen where I have a process flow defined. I have a create step. In this case, I have a help desk tech step, and I could go on to further steps after that depending on the design of my process. I also have fields that I can fill out here. So in this case, I'm going to identify who this is going to go to. It might get routed to a group of people, perhaps, again, just depending on how your organization works. But in this case, I'll say, what if I wanted to send this to someone else? I can just come in here, type in her name, and that would go to Karen instead of to John. In this case, I'm just going to send it to Jonathan. And I'm going to say, please revise report. And I've got some drop-down boxes on here, so both for Jonathan's information and for after-the-fact reporting purposes or analysis purposes, perhaps. I've got some different buckets that I can put this in, so I can say this is for Synergy Enterprise and it's a request for a report modification. I can come out here and click a Browse button. Perhaps I already made a screenshot of some of the changes that I wanted to make and I put that on my desktop. I can grab a document or image file or whatever it is I want and attach it to this so that Jonathan has access to that information, and then I can come down here and put in notes. So see attached doc, please add account number column to the report, or whatever it is I want to tell him. I can timestamp that and then click submit, and that goes off to Jonathan to perform that task. Now, what's the benefit of doing it that way? Well, again, versus an email or what have you, all of that is stored here in the central business system, the same place where I have my report, the same place where I have my customers, the same place where Jonathan logs in, and so that everyone can see what is going on and what's gone on in the past. Also, it won't fall through the cracks, because as I send this to Jonathan, he then, due to the workflow rules, cannot get rid of that until he performs a certain action that we've defined for our organization upon it. So he would need to maybe fill out another field that would appear for him and say this is complete, or I have questions, or what have you. He could send it back to me, or he could then mark it as complete. It would still be maintained in the system so that if we want to analyze how long it's taking Jonathan to do things, or who's doing what in the organization, we could do that as well. But for whatever purposes we want, it's much more efficient and effective than some of the other mechanisms we see used in companies. So I submit that, and it goes off for Jonathan to take some action on. So again, now let's say I'm Jonathan, the support tech, instead of the CEO. I could come here and look at my workflow task, and you can see right here on July 27th, here is that help desk task. So Jonathan would get that, take whatever action he needed. Again, here's that additional field that popped up for him. He could put comments in and then continue on from there. Now we'll take a look at some of the integration that Synergy Enterprise offers with the Microsoft Office suite of products, specifically in this case, Microsoft Outlook. You can see here I'm logged into my Outlook system. Here's my inbox here in the middle, and then I've got my preview pane over here on the right. But you'll notice up here on the top I have a Synergy menu, and then in the toolbar area I also have a Synergy toolbar here. So let's take a look at what we can do with this. The first thing I can do is, let's say I get an email and I decide I need to upload that into the business system so that perhaps it's archived for other people to be able to look at. I need to maybe launch a task for myself or others to take some action based upon this. Maybe link it to the customer so that everyone can see what communications we had with the customer. Whatever the case may be, it's very easy for me to do that. I can just I can click on the email. You can see it pops up over here in the right frame. I can then right mouse and choose exact save right from the right mouse menu. I can then choose what type of document this is, and that's definable within the Synergy Enterprise system as far as our filing system. If you think about maybe you have a share drive with a folder structure, it's very similar. And then I can indicate whether or not I want to automatically initiate a follow-up task from this. So I click save, and now this will upload that email and any attachments associated with it right into the Synergy Enterprise system. The first thing it's going to do is ask me, because I checked that box, what kind of follow-up task would I like to initiate? In this case, I'll choose that web inquiry type. Then it's going to, notice it automatically attaches the email and any attachments here. But let's say I want to link this to a customer that it pertains to, or maybe there was an item or some other piece of data within the business system that I need to link this with. In this case, I'll just start typing the name of a customer. And their name comes up and I can indicate that's the right one. Maybe I want to change this description from what the email subject line was. And I can type that here. And then any notes that I would want to put in there, and I can timestamp that. And then when I click the submit button, it will be submitted into the business system, into somebody's task list to do a follow-up. They'll be able to click and read that email, so it's not just existing in my email inbox anymore. It's now available for anybody that needs to collaborate on whatever this task may be. So I click submit, and now that's gone into the business system. And you'll also notice that as I look at my inbox here, this saved column indicates to me that I've already uploaded that particular email into the system, so I don't have to worry about if I need to do it again. And then if I actually wanted to, from my inbox here, if I wanted to check that record inside Synergy to go right to it, it allows me to do that as well. So now that I've done that, let's say that I want to maybe check my daily reports, my dashboard, to see what else is going on inside the organization. And I could do that by going down here and clicking on the Synergy Enterprise application. But sometimes when users are new to the system, or just for ease of use, we don't want to force them to flip between applications. And that's where this Synergy bar comes into play. You notice it has a homepage icon. I can click on that, and it will actually launch Synergy Enterprise here within Outlook and allow me to view whatever my personalized workspace is that has been designed for me within the Synergy Enterprise Navigator system. So in this case, I'm the CEO, and it's allowing me to see my CEO dashboard with all of my key performance indicators. I can take whatever actions I need from there using the contextual menus and do the drill downs and launch actions from within those. So again, right here within Outlook, I've got my key performance indicators, and I can then drill into those activities, or I can use these lookups and searches and menus up at the top. So for example, if I want to go look at my task list, I could do it from here, or I can click right there. So you just design whatever menu mechanism your users find easiest to navigate, and it becomes very easy for them to get where they need to go. So you can see right here, here is that web inquiry that I just launched from that email that I uploaded. Or if I need to do a search from here, I can do a search for people. I can do let's say I want to look up that customer that we just talked about. I just type in part of their name, and here they come up. This is actually a Synergy Enterprise screen right here, but here's that outdoor adventure outlet record right here within the business system. I can go in and look at their sales opportunities or any other activities that we have for them, including that very same workflow task. So not only do I have it in my to-do list, but it's also open here under the customer so that anyone else that interacts with that customer can see what's going on, in this case with them.